Jumbo everybody, in today's video I have a how I stay healthy at Walt Disney World video for you guys today. So everybody has their own definitions of what staying healthy at Disney means for them. Maybe it's keeping themselves and their families from catching a cold or something while they're down there, or maybe it's somebody who is a fitness person that doesn't want to gain weight while they're at Disney World and staying healthy in that regard, or maybe you're somebody who is from the north who's not used to the heat and the sun and the humidity and all of that stuff, and you just don't want to be taken down by the heat and all that stuff while you're down at Disney. So, you know, I'm going to try to be as broad as possible to encompass everybody's different definitions of health and give you some tips that will hopefully help you on your next Disney World vacation. So we've been to Disney probably, I don't know, a lot, maybe 10 or 15 times by now, and most of those times have been as adults. And we have picked up some tips and tricks and things along the way that have helped us, and they kind of have become our go-to routines, I suppose, for staying healthy at Disney. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is how to stay as healthy from an immune system standpoint as possible. The first thing is what we do is it actually starts on the airplane. We are very adamant about using our hand sanitizer and our thieves spray. When you are on an airplane, I'm telling you, there is just so many things that you touch that so many other people have also touched that day, or however long it's been since the airplane has been cleaned. And so we always use our hand sanitizer and we always use our thieves spray to spray down, wipe down things that we're going to be touching during the flight. Important to keep those little nasties at bay. Also, we use essential oils, not a secret, right? Though, that help to keep our immune system super duper strong. So before we go to the airport, we will put thieves and oregano on the bottoms of our feet. These two guys here, and they are super awesome for all things immune system. If you don't have these, Immu Power works great too, and that's this guy here. This is pretty much a combination of these, so it just kind of depends on what you have. But on the bottoms of your feet, you can't go wrong with that. Once we are back at our hotel room for that evening, after we're off the plane and out of the airport system and all of that, we'll do another round again, just for good measure. You never know. And if you guys are interested in learning about essential oils and why I use them to begin with, I have a class coming up on Facebook very, very soon. Link for that will be in the description bar below. Other things from an immune system standpoint, I always take vitamin C. This is the particular vitamin C I take. It's the lipospheric vitamin C, and I get this from Amazon. It's Live On Laboratories, and it's the only vitamin C I can take that doesn't upset my digestion. So I love this. It's 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. We'll take one of these before we fly, and then we'll take another one that evening after we're at the hotel, just for good luck. And I cannot take any vitamin C's besides that one because it really messes with my digestion. So I'm so glad that this particular one is just easily absorbed. You can take it on empty stomach, not a big deal. And so that's the one that we take. Also, probiotics, very, very important. This one I haven't opened up yet. This is the Life 9 from Young Living that I take. But, you know, probiotic, very important to keep your system doing what it's supposed to. And I will also take a teaspoon of black elderberry syrup. This is from Gaia. This is the one I get when I travel. It's from Whole Foods and it's not inexpensive. I will warn you. I want to say it's about $20 for a bottle like this. It'll last you for a really long time because you only take a teaspoonful at a time. But black elderberry syrup is really good for all things immune system, and just awesome. I swear by this stuff. One last thing I want to talk about from a flying standpoint. I always spray my nose with a saline solution, a nasal spray, and I do this before, like right when I get on the airplane. And the reason for that is because the airplane air is super duper dry. Some of it's fresh air that's pumped in, but most of it's that recycled air. When you get at altitude, everything just dries out like crazy. So the saline is really good for keeping your nasal passages moist because your nose and your entire like respiratory sinus, everything will grab onto things you don't want in your system breathing in if it is moist. So I love having my nasal spray. I will spray my nose before we take off. Generally, that's all I need. I don't need to do any more than that, just like one time through. Do it again on the way back home on the airplane. Just really, really good, especially too if you're going to a dry climate, if you're not going to Disney, if you're going like out west or something, really good thing to have. We used this in Las Vegas. Lifesaver. In addition to that, Gotta have your water on the airplane too, always a good thing to have. And if anyone gets kind of bothered by motion on an airplane, what I do, I will take Digize and put that on, or I will take peppermint and just smell it, and it just really helps to calm your system down. All right, so we've made it through the airport and now we're at the hotel. So there are two things basically that I do at the hotel that just make me feel better from a mental standpoint. I don't know. You never know how clean hotel rooms are, even when you see that it looks like it's kind of clean, but you just never know. Actually, there's three things. So the first thing that I do is I will take the remote control for the TV and I will put it in a large gallon-sized Ziploc bag and zip it up. And that will allow you to use the remote control without getting the germs from the remote onto your hands. And I've talked about doing this a long time. I've been doing this for years, and it doesn't mess with the remote control functionality. It's totally fine. But that is the number one thing, apparently, according to a couple of different studies that I've seen, that is the most germy thing in a hotel room, especially at Disney when you're around a bunch of kids and all of that kind of stuff. You just have to be extra careful. So we always do that. I know I'm not the only one on YouTube that does that. I've seen some other folks that do it too. So yay, thank you. Validation, I don't know, a little crazy. What can you do? All right, so the next thing that I do is I will clean the surfaces of the hotel room. Anything that we're gonna be touching, like our sink or like the table we'll be eating breakfast on or anything like that, I bring a little Thieves spray. This is the Thieves household cleaner that I just put into a small container like this and carry it through security, totally fine. This is 2 ounces. And then I use this to spray down tables, spray down the sink, spray down handles and light switches and whatever, and then just wipe it up with a paper towel. And that works great to clean the room. Smells really good too. In addition to smelling good, you see this thing behind my shoulder here, this thing right here. That is my diffuser. That gets packed in my suitcase. So I will diffuse a blend called Purification. And Purification helps to get the stink out of the hotel room. It doesn't matter how recently the hotel room was stayed in. I feel like all hotel rooms are just musty, yucky places. And Purification helps to neutralize odors. You can also, if you want to support your immune system while you're in the hotel room too, diffuse some Thieves. Really good in that regard as well, just to keep everything at bay. So I also bring my Thieves foaming hand soap when I go as well, and I will put this on the sink, and it's just, I feel it's better than using the facial soap as your soap in the hotel room. That just kind of gets a little slimy and whatever, and we're just used to using the Thieves and we know works well. And so I always bring that down with me in my suitcase in a Ziploc bag too, and just throw that at the sink. Easy peasy. So when we actually get to the parks, always using the hand purifier, very, very, very important. This one, the Thieves one, actually does fit into the little carriers that they sell at Disney World too, that have all the different, like the castle on it, or it has princesses on it or whatever. It will stretch around this, so this goes on my backpack and we use it all the time. If we touch like ride handles, or after we do the little finger scanner thingy, or we have to go through a door or something, we'll always use this, because you never know what you could pick up from touching who knows whatever else. It's just yuck. Okay, so I think that's it from a germ standpoint. Let's talk about not gaining weight at Disney. I know this is a big concern of a lot of people when they go down to Disney World for some reason. And for me, I have never gained weight at Disney. If anything, I've lost weight. And the reason for that is because, one, it is so hot. You're sweating buckets all the time. But you're also walking so much. So I think we wore our little pedometers not too long ago, and we averaged between 7 and 10 miles every single day at Disney. It's a lot of walking, especially if you're not used to that much walking at home. So important, wear comfortable shoes that are well broken in, and bring Band-Aids with you. We always have a Ziploc baggie full of Band-Aids, because there is nothing worse than getting a blister your first day that you're at Disney, and then you have to walk on it for the rest of the week. So really good to have some Band-Aids with you. If you feel a hot spot, just slap it on your foot. Really good. You can also get Band-Aids from the first aid stations. They have them at all 4 of the theme parks. So I highly recommend just going to grab a Band-Aid from the nurse there. She'll be able to take care of you for sure. So from a food standpoint, there are a lot of healthy options at Disney. And actually, Disney World is the one and only place where we feel comfortable getting a meal with as many dietary restrictions as we have. So I've talked about this before. I eat paleo, and my husband eats paleo autoimmune protocol to manage an autoimmune disease that he has. And so it's very intimidating to eat at restaurants here locally, that they haven't been as trained to deal with dietary allergies like they have at Disney. And so we just don't eat out here at home, but we will eat in restaurants at Disney World. And it's just, it's a very refreshing thing to be able to do. We've been gluten-free specifically since 2011, and we've been to Disney probably 5 times since 2011, something like that. And so gluten's never been a problem for us there. They always know about that. We've had a couple of trips where we've had numerous dietary restrictions, like this upcoming trip that we're going to be going on in the fall. Again, numerous dietary restrictions, but we're not worried about it because we know that the chefs are really, really good, and we just need to explain our dietary concerns or, you know, whatever, with the chefs there, and they can make something just wonderful for us. So not a concern. You can always find healthy and allergen-friendly food at Disney. You just can. Every single park has a fruit and veggie stand that you can get some fresh fruits and vegetables. They also have, like Magic Kingdom, they have over by the Haunted Mansion and kind of like Liberty Square area, they have the Liberty Square Market, I think that's what it's called, and they have baked potatoes. They sometimes have sweet potatoes too, which we can't eat white potatoes, but we eat baked potatoes, like baked sweet potatoes, so that's an option too. Fresh fruit, all sorts of good stuff over there. So just, you'll be able to find something when you're at Disney. If you have dining restrictions, dietary restrictions, or if you just are trying to watch your figure, you can always just grab a banana from somewhere or grab some pre-chopped veggies from somewhere, and that's great. Also, you can bring food into the park too. So a couple of things that we like to bring. I always have my water. This is the one I like to carry around. This is the Essentia brand. It's just really good from a pH standpoint. There are a lot of different studies and reviews and things about lots of different brands of bottled water and how alkaline some are acidic and all that. So Essentia has leaps and bounds come out as being like the top water brand, and you can get it from Whole Foods. When we're at Whole Foods, we just pick up a bunch of these, and it's really good. And there's minerals added too, which is always a good thing as well, because you get dehydrated when you're walking out in the heat all the time. So great to have your bottled water. For us, from a snack standpoint, we bring paleo and autoimmune friendly snacks. And so some of them that I throw in my bag, I love the Wild Zora bars. Epic bars are great too. We'll bring some Inca plantain chips. I like RX bars from a paleo standpoint. I think they're really, really good. We'll also bring an entire meal for us as well if we're not planning on eating in the park that day. I have a backpack cooler that I got for Christmas that I'm going to be taking down this year, and we actually don't use it as a cooler. We use our Hot Logic, which I talked about before, to heat up a little container of food, meat, vegetables, whatever it is, and then I will wrap it up in a towel just so I don't burn myself because it'll be hot, and then I put it in the backpack cooler, and security lets it through. It's fine as long as it's not in glass, so we do have to use a BPA-free plastic container with a lid for that, but it works fine. I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so we have that, plastic utensils or water, and we're good to go for meals in the parks. You can bring in whatever you want to bring in as long as it's not like a big rolling cooler or not in glass containers. So just something to keep in mind, but bring snacks for your kids, bring snacks for yourself, and just kind of keep your digestive system moving in a way that it's used to at home. If you change up your diet so much and you start eating like a whole bunch of fried food, a whole bunch of things you're not used to, you're not going to feel your best. And you always want to feel your best when you're at Disney because it's the happiest place on earth, right? You definitely want to be there to enjoy your vacation. And for a lot of people, the Disney food is a big part of their vacation. And historically for us, that was the case. We have since we've been paleo autoimmune protocol already in about a year's time, a year ago, when we went there too. For us, the food isn't as big of a deal anymore. It's more the details and the rides and like all that kind of stuff. So everybody has their own things, but you can definitely find healthy options at every single restaurant there. And if you need to make something that's modified for an allergy, not a big deal at all. Walking, you're going to get plenty of exercise when you're at Disney, but there are running trails you can take or walking trails around the different resorts. Almost all of the resorts, most of them have some sort of an exercise facility, workout facility that you can use too. They all have pools, so swim away your fears, like all that stuff. So most of the time, most people do not gain weight when they're at Disney World. That's just my 2 cents on that in that regard. All right, so for those who are a little concerned about how much walking you're going to be doing and the heat and all of that kind of stuff, so a couple of tips for that. You can rent an ECV, which is one of those electronic vehicles, and you can either rent it from Disney directly, a little more expensive that way, or you can get it from an off-site scooter rental company, and there's a lot of them online. Check out All Ears, check out the Disboards. There's a ton of different ECV companies that people have talked about on those different websites, so you'll find one there, not a big deal. I highly recommend it. I mean, if you're somebody who is just not active at home, or somebody who has difficulty walking for a long period of time, or if you have an injury of any kind, or, you know, there's tons of different reasons why you would need an ECV. Don't be ashamed of them. You know, if they're going to make your trip more enjoyable, go for it. Second thing is it gets really, really hot at Disney. We've been down in September most of the time. We've been in October, November. I've been in February before, but we went in July, and July is an incredibly, I've never been so hot in my life. So a couple of tips: drink your water and drink it often. For me, which is crazy, I went through 4 bottles of water throughout the day while we were walking around Disney World. And that's not including the water I drank at meal times as well. Okay, so be cognizant of how much water you need to drink, and I highly recommend getting a water that has electrolytes added to it, and or having water and also eating a banana with it, or eating something that's salty with it too, just so you can get electrolytes in your system. Avoid caffeine, avoid like your pop and things you should avoid anyway, but that dehydrates you, so just kind of keep that in mind too. You can always get free ice water from any counter service location, food location that has fountain drinks. So no questions asked, just go up, they won't charge you, and you can get a free cup of ice water. So it's a good cost savings, because I think right now the bottles of water at Disney are like $2.75 or something like that. I think that's right. So they're kind of pricey, so bring in your own. It's just a good thing to have. Also, there are a lot of different places that you can go in the park to cool off. There are a lot of indoor show attractions. Some of them are rather lengthy, like I don't know, Universe of Energy, for example. It's 45 minutes long, so it gets you out of the heat for an amount of time, plus you're in air conditioning. It feels really good. Also consider going back to your hotel for the heat of the day, which is interesting. The heat of the day is not necessarily when the sun is most direct. You'll see on any of those weather apps and things like that, it gets the hottest around 3, 4, 5 o'clock. Which is interesting, because I guess probably the pavement has had time to heat up and everything. I don't know. The sun's not directly on you at that point, but it's very, very hot. So use that time to go back to your resort, take a nap, take a shower, take a swim if you want, just kind of cool off a little bit, and then go back in the evening for evening touring. I mean, for us, we have had the most fun touring in the evenings. Last September, when we went to Disney, we had special touring considerations because it was the first time going since my husband was diagnosed with his autoimmune thing, and so we knew we had to tour a little bit differently than we had in years past. So what we did is we just spent the morning at the hotel. We stayed on site. We stayed at Boardwalk. It was amazing, of course, because the Boardwalk's just awesome. And we would like sit under the covered breezeway out back and just kind of hang out for the bulk of the day. And then once the sun started to go down, I would pack our dinner in a backpack and we would go out to the parks, and we would specifically hit those parks that had evening extra magic hours, which allowed us to stay until 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was a lot less hot. The sun wasn't like bearing down on your face, and we got equally everything done that we wanted to get done. We had late fast passes for all of the attractions, so we weren't like shut out of any of the attractions we wanted to see. It was just great. It worked out really, really good. So something to keep in mind. Alternate touring strategies, there's a lot of different options for you. Also, pack an umbrella. One, it rains a lot. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, it generally rains at Disney, but it's also a way to have portable shade too. You will see so many people walking around with umbrellas. As long as you're not poking anybody in the eye, go for it. You know, have that portable shade because it can be about 10 degrees cooler underneath your canopy of your umbrella. Also keeps the sun off too, so if you're susceptible to sun poisoning or anything like that, it's just a good thing to do. Sunscreen, very, very important, as well as sunglasses can help you prevent headaches or, you know, any like eye strain, another option for you too. And if you feel anything wonky, go to a first aid station. There is a first aid station at every single one of the theme parks, and it's staffed with a nurse, and they're able to help you if you're feeling like you see spots in front of your eyes, or you think you've been out in the sun too long, or you need a Band-Aid or something. Whatever it is, utilize those first aid stations because they are definitely there to help you. I think those are my main tips. That was a lot of information for you. I'm sorry for just like telling you everything in the world. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer anything you guys have. Leave a comment below this video, and you know, everything's fair game. I've been to Disney enough that I should be able to at least point you in the right direction in answering any questions that you guys have. Again, like I said before, if you're interested in learning about essential oils and how to keep your body healthy with those and how you can use them in your family to get toxic yuck out of your house, I have a class coming up on Facebook. The link to that class will be in the description bar below. If you haven't already and you'd like to, hit that button down below, subscribe, so you never miss a Daily Dreamland video. Happy Disney planning, and I will see you all tomorrow. Ciao!